Bitcoin just got a pretty significant dump below $112,000. Now everyone is screaming manipulation, but the signs were there as we've been talking about on the channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about whether or not we could be bouncing from this region, which is a pretty strong support level, or if we are to see some more downside. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Let's be real here, we were always expecting a correction for Bitcoin as outlined in most of my previous videos these past couple weeks. This was the zone to enter a short. The reason I say this is because, just to give you a quick recap, it was the point of control of this previous range, this turquoise line, the highest volume node. However, if we also take a fib from the top here down to the bottom, you can see that this coincides perfectly with the golden pocket, another crucial rejection zone. And also, we grab the liquidity above the Jackson Hole high. Taking a look at this Bitcoin chart, which is a little bit cleaner, you can see that when we had that whole Jackson Hole event, we got a very, very big pump here. This was actually when Ethereum put in a brand new all-time high, which we traded as well. But we actually made it just above that level, grabbing that liquidity right above this 8-year trend line, which we've also been outlining on the channel. If I zoom out, you can see that we did indeed get rejected, and now this is looking like a pretty nasty weekly close that we got yesterday. So what is going to happen here? Because the move has inevitably played out, and I just wanted to give you a quick update on my trade. A lot of you were bashing me because I said that Bitcoin would be moving lower. However, you can see that I am currently sitting 6 figures in profit on this most recent trade. Now, this is on weeks where I trade regularly. If you'd like to join me, you have the third link in my description down below, and you get a 20% deposit bonus for joining me on that platform. If you deposit $10,000, that means you get $2,000 back to trade completely for free. Any profits that you make, you can of course withdraw. Now, I have been pretty vocal about this move to the downside, and I hate to say I told you so, but again, I told you so. Let's see what happens here, because 112 is a very pivotal level. The reason why this level is so important is because if I zoom out here, it coincides with the previous all-time high that we saw in May of 2025. I would find it surprising to lose this level without a fight, because you can already see here, we got a pretty big wick down, and now we got bought up. We actually went all the way down to around 111.5K, and we're basically tapping into the bull market support band, which is historically a very strong level for Bitcoin too. You can see that that's where we actually held support right around the 107K lows. Now, to outline my base case, which we've been discussing. From these lows here, my base case has been up, down, up. Now you can see that the up move has indeed played out. This is inevitably up from the bottom. Now, because this move did not look impulsive from the bottom, I was also calling for a correction. As I said, the signs were there. Now, we got this move down. The question is this down move completely over, or are we going to move lower and retarget 107K? If we target 107K once more, then I do think the odds are that we will likely break even below that region in the low 100K area. And I don't want to scare you here, but below $100,000 is not completely out of the question, and we would still keep the bullish higher time frame structure intact. Now, I'm not saying that that's my base case right now. To be quite frank, I do think that 112K will be a pretty strong level to break if we manage to break it. But as I've said, if we start to break it, it's highly likely that we go ahead and target these lows once more, making our way down into the mid 100K level. Let's see what plays out. But right now, Bitcoin is sitting just below $113,000, and we got a pretty decent bounce from 111.5K. Now, so far, I've taken around 30% profits on my Bitcoin short, and I will likely keep this position open until I see confirmation that we are truly going to bounce from the previous all-time high, $112,000. Now, this is also in line with our thesis that Bitcoin dominance would likely be continuing to increase. Now you can see here, once again, at this trend line, at this pivotal level, when everyone was calling for altcoin season, when CZ was shilling his own tokens on the BNB chain, Bitcoin dominance got a bounce at the beginning of the week. Now this isn't something to celebrate quite yet, But you can see here that I do think that this trend line will be holding as support, and in line with our base case here, this could likely continue to chop up at the bare minimum, hitting 60% dominance, likely all the way up to 62, 63% dominance, and then we'll have to reassess. This has been my base case for weeks now. I do not think that the Bitcoin dominance uptrend is over. Now, if you're new to the channel, you'll probably think, okay, it's obvious now that we were going to get a bounce, but after this move downwards, I was one of the only people saying that Bitcoin dominance would likely continue to increase, and I was not calling for a full-blown altcoin season. If we start to get confirmed daily closes below 57% Bitcoin dominance, it's at that point in time that I do think that the end of the cycle is near, with altcoin season fully underway. But because we bounced from this level, let me just give you the best base case here that I think could be happening in the market. First and foremost, Bitcoin needs to decide where it wants to go. If we start to revisit the lows on a more aggressive dump, then I do think that altcoins will continue to suffer, and therefore this contributes to Bitcoin dominance continuing to increase. However, even if Bitcoin does get a pump from here, I still think that Bitcoin dominance will be continuing to increase. Right now, I am still happy in my short, but I want to see how this goes ahead and plays out. And the simplest path that I outlined, up, down, up, is really coming to fruition here. We are now at the down moment of this market, and so if we do come lower, we will likely go ahead and transition into up, which would be the last, wow, my writing is terrible. This is supposed to say last. The last leg of this bull market cycle. So I think that whatever bounce we get near the lows, or if it's here, will trigger the final leg of this bull market cycle, and that's when I will likely start to look to scale into altcoins. I'm not rushing into any longs quite yet because this is still some pretty ugly price action. You'll also remember that on these shorter time frames here, I talked about in one of my previous videos how if we do lose 114.4K, it's highly likely that we go ahead and retest $112,000, the previous all-time high. And you can see that that's exactly what happened. Now, I just need to give a quick reminder. If you want to join my free premium group where I go ahead and post my own personal trade setups, such as this epic Bitcoin short, which is currently 6 figures in profit with my own capital, then you have the first link in my description down below. All you have to do is click this link. It'll bring you to this page. You DM me the word premium, and I would be happy to onboard you into my free premium group. Keep in mind though that you do need to sign up with one of my affiliate exchange links and start trading on there to be able to access my group. But this is your own capital that you trade with, and you can see how I'm currently navigating this market. We have a ton of positive testimonials here. First of all, this is what I shared in the group this morning. I also started forwarding some messages from people that are making some significant profits with my calls in the market. You can see that this guy here, Amin, he said, man, what the fuck? My trading account in April was at 22K. Today, it's at $136,000. My family doesn't understand. And if we scroll up here, the premium members have been absolutely printing. Because of your conviction, I took one trade in cross, and with much better entry in isolated mode, both are in good profits. Thank you. Then we also have first trade setup of yours. I actually followed. I compared it to my own analysis and took a pretty large position. Thank you. And you can see that these members are absolutely printing on this high conviction Bitcoin short, which I've been sharing on the channel for the past couple of weeks. I know there's even some of you that aren't in my group, and you've been making some very, very nice profits just through watching the channel. Quick reminder, if you want to do me a favor, go ahead and share this channel with some of your friends and family that want to get into crypto, want some reliable, profitable crypto content. And that would help out the channel very much, because that's what helps get the channel the exposure that it needs. It's been very, very difficult to grow in this industry. But again, if you want to join my free premium group, you have that first link in my description down below. Over the past few months, everyone has been absolutely printing. Now, back to the charts. I wanted to also give you a quick update on the liquidation heat map. Over the past 24 hours, there's been just under $2 billion worth of longs liquidated, with only 83 million worth of shorts liquidated. This was a pretty significant flush in the market, and because of this flush, I do think it's time for us to take a look at the other liquidation heat maps, which gives us insights as to how the longs and shorts are currently operating. So here on the 24-hour time frame, you can see that there is a pretty big cluster to the upside here, 116.6K people shorting the market. Now, this gives us a little bit of a clearer picture Remember in my last few videos, there was over 3 times more cumulative long liquidation leverage in the market compared to cumulative short liquidation leverage in the market. Well, right now on the 30-day time frame, it is looking relatively even. With this kind of map, it makes it very difficult to call the exact direction where Bitcoin could be headed from here, but I would like to see us potentially flush out these longs before we go and see some continuation. The structure is very clear, and outside of this rejection on the chart, which had a lot of confluence, we also had some other signs in the market which I thought were relatively funny that no one was really talking about. There's been a golden statue of President Trump holding a Bitcoin placed outside US Capitol. I mean, guys, if this doesn't scream local top to you, I don't know what does. And we also had CZ that came out just a few hours ago before we had this liquidation event. Dips are important for establishing support levels, which are like foundations of a house. Now, I'm sure he means well, and I do completely agree with this, but I couldn't help but share this because we got a massive dump shortly after he shared this tweet. And that sums up today's quick video. Bitcoin got the correction that we've been discussing, and now it's time to see if $112,000 can hold as support. But don't lose sight of the bigger picture, because I still think that we will have one last leg to this bull market cycle, sending us between $130,000 to $150,000 per Bitcoin. I know in the short term, it's a little bit difficult to navigate if you were max bullish, but it's important to pay attention to the indicators that I share on this channel because they can help you navigate the market with a cool head when every other influencer is calling for altcoin season once more. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.